Hey there everybody, my name is Bradston Henry and I'm a developer advocate at IBM, and I'm super excited to have you guys checking out my latest video blog. Today we're going to be checking out what does it take to containerize a ReactJS application using Docker. Hopefully today you guys will learn a lot and have some fun along the way. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be containerizing a ReactJS application using Docker. So if you've seen my previous blog on how to containerize a NodeJS application, this will have some similar steps, but we're going to be doing some things that are a little bit different and hopefully advance your knowledge in containerization. So I'm going to just flip over to show you that right now I have my dad joke API version 1 running already in my Docker. And the reason I'm showing this is because in order for this demo to work, in order for this, step-by-step, I'm going to need this dad joke API running because my dad joke ReactJS application, the UI front end will be connecting to the dad joke API. So we already have that container running. It's going to work great. It's going to be awesome. So let's get into it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up my dev folder here. This is where I hold a lot of my code. As you'll see, I already have my dad jokes API code in here, but you'll see that my dad jokes UI code is here. I already downloaded it from the GitHub repository. If you're interested in following along with what I'm doing, you can check out the link below in the description, and it'll show you how to get access to dad jokes UI code. So let's go ahead and get ready to start making our UI into an application. So you can see I'm already sitting here to open up a new window of my terminal. But once I open up a terminal window, I'm going to go ahead and clear this here. Oops, sorry, I'm in the wrong window. Go ahead and clear. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and CD into my dad jokes UI folder to begin with. I'm going to go ahead and enter here. And once I'm in there, I'm going to go ahead and open my folder as you saw here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Dockerfile. Once again, if you see my previous blog post, Dockerfile is going to set all the commands for creating our Docker image, which we'll use to run our code for our application, in this case, our UI using ReactJS. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say touch Dockerfile. And what that'll do is create a Dockerfile within my directory that I switched to, my dad jokes UI. And I'm going to go ahead and open this. So this is going to be the meat and potatoes of what we do today, which is our Dockerfile. So a lot of the steps that we're going to do is going to look very familiar to what we did in our Node.js. Once again, like I said in the last blog post, but it's going to be a little bit different. A few changes, a few things that are going to really make a difference, particularly with deploying a ReactJS application into a container. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do from node:\alpine, and we're going to do version 3.10. And we're going to also add this extra descriptor here, as you see, called as build step. Why this is important is because in this particular situation, for creating a ReactJS application that we deploy within our container, we need to do what's called a multi-build step within our Docker container. So what that means really is that we're going to have a build step to build our ReactJS application into a production level package. And then we're going to have our, I guess you could say, run step, which is where we actually deploy our built ReactJS application onto a Nginx server. And you'll kind of see what I mean as I step through. But this is just kind of noting that this particular step, this from image that we're using, this node image, is going to be used particularly for building our ReactJS application within our Docker. So we're going to go ahead and, from node:\alpine 3.1 as build step. So our next step is to do what we're pretty familiar with here, which is run make directory/app. This once again just creates our app folder where we're going to run most of our code out of. So we're going to do work. We're going to mark our work directory to be /app here. So work directory/app. From there, we're then just going to copy over our package.json. Once again, if you're familiar with ReactJS, then you know that a lot of a lot of our packaging and for our frameworks is through npm and Node. So we're going to use that to copy over the package, and then we're going to run our npm install. Just one thing to note is that when we run npm install on this particular application using my particular app, it'll take a little bit longer than the previous blog where we ran npm install on just a Node application. All right, so now we're just going to copy over the rest of the files that we need from our application in our current directory, which is our Docker UI. Our dad jokes UI folder, into our working directory, which is app. Once we do that, we're going to go ahead and do something a little bit different. We're going to do run npm run build. Okay, and what this does is going to build our ReactJS application into a production ready package, so it can actually run when we run it on our in our Docker container. Okay, so that will end our build step, our build phase of our application. The next thing we're going to do now is we're going to start our, what I call our run steps. And what we're going to need to do is, in our next step, is we're going to have to use the Nginx image of a server, Nginx server, to actually host and deploy our ReactJS application after it's been packaged. So we're going to use Nginx : and we're going to use the tag 1.19.8. I'm just making sure I'm getting the right thing, and Alpine. Okay, you could always use latest, but just for for those who are going to be looking at this in the future, they can use this particular image and it'll be sure to work. Okay, so now this next step is going to have a lot of different seemingly complex lines of code, but it's pretty straightforward, and I'll explain it as we go. So we're going to say copy -- from, oops, there we go, is equal to build step. Okay, and then we're going to say /app/build. Okay, and then we're going to say user /user/share/html /nginx/html. Now, what's happening here? So what we're doing is we're copying over from our build step, our actual build folder. So when we did this run build within our app directory, it created a build folder, and that build folder holds all of the code that we need to actually deploy our application. So what we're doing is telling our Docker, build Docker engine to go ahead and go to the build step and grab the build folder from this app directory here, app build, and actually copy the contents of this build folder into our user share nginx HTML folder. And that HTML folder is actually what will be displaying, I guess you could say, or actually showing our application out into the wild. It needs, the server needs this folder, is the public folder, to basically show our ReactJS application. Okay, so once we have that all built, we're good to go on that. We're going to go ahead and close our file. The next thing we're going to do, go back to our command line here, and we're going to say .dockerignore. Okay, once again, just if you haven't watched my other video, I'm going to open up this dockerignore folder document. Is that this basically just makes sure that no essential code or build files or anything that we care about doesn't get overwritten in the build process. Just kind of an extra level of safety and helping us in our application. So I just kind of copied this from another file that I use pretty frequently. This kind of always works for me. You can copy this particular dockerignore contents from my code on my GitHub, so please check that out. All right, so we're going to close that, and now we're going to get into building our image. So I'm going to go ahead and clear here. Yep. And once I do that, I'm going to go docker build, right, saying, hey, this is the docker build command. I'm going to say -t, and -t is to name our image with a tag, and I'm going to call it dad joke UI, and I'm going to call it version 1. And I'm going to put this in trailing the space period, because I want to say in this directory that I'm currently in, I want to build off of what I have. That period is extremely important. So we're going to say enter. So you'll see it start to build. it may take a little bit of time to run npm install, so I'm going to basically skip ahead to the end of it. But essentially, it's just installing all the necessary dependencies into our application. All right, so it looks like our build has finished. As you can probably see, it took about a minute to install that command, run npm install. Once again, if you just want to look at the steps that you have in your actual file, your Docker file, you can see it here in the command line. All right, so now that we have built our image, and we can check to see if our image is built by checking our Docker desktop. This is just something I didn't show in the past. I'm going to show again. Here, you'll see that if you go here in our images, you'll see that our Docker joke UI now exists, and it's one of our images. All right, so going back to our code here, I'm going to go ahead and say clear that, and now we're going to run our Docker run command. So we're going to run our Docker run command, and what we're going to do here is we're going to first note the port that we want to expose our application at. So we're going to say -p, we're going to say 8080:80/TCP. Thing to note about this is that this port is going to be the port where an Nginx server is going to basically show its HTML folder that I talked about earlier. So we need to use the 80/TCP port, and that port itself is going to be what we are now showing at our 8080 port on our, what will soon be our local machine, our local host, basically the port that we're exposing, okay, outside of our container. All right, once we do that, we're gonna say -d. Last time I didn't mention this, but the -d flag basically runs our, runs this container, this Docker image particularly, in the background. If you don't put the -d, basically this will run within our terminal, and we won't be able to use this terminal anymore, but this allows it to run in the background and for Docker desktop to kind of manage it, and we'll get to see it when we're finished. So we're gonna do -d, and then we're gonna use dad-joke-ui:version1. All right, we're gonna press enter. Just like that, we should see our ID for our container. If we want to check to make sure that it's working, we can say Docker, oops, spelled that wrong, Docker PS, and you'll see here, I have two Dockers running. I'm gonna expand this a little bit. We have two Dockers running. We have my UI, dad-joke UI, and our dad-joke API. And as you can see, this matches up as far as container ID. It just started a few seconds ago, and it is being exposed at 8080 from port 80 within our container. Okay, so everything looks good. So last time I kind of showed you when we were ready to check our application, I just opened up a browser and went localhost, you know, so on and so forth. This time I'm just going to show you how to do it from the actual Docker desktop. So I'm going to click Docker desktop here, flip over, and now you'll see that some of our applications are here. Our images are running. Like I said, our dad-joke API is running, and you also see our dad-joke UI running here. I'm going to go ahead and put my finger here on this open browser button, and when I click that, it'll open up a browser with our dad-joke generator, dad-joke API. So you'll simply see here, if we click get dad-joke, that it gets a dad-joke from our actual API, and it displays it here. Also, I put in some extra code to get some GIFs from Giphy. So if I click via Giphy, it'll take it to the source. So if I keep clicking get dad-joke, it'll keep generating dad jokes with hilarious GIFs, because these jokes are hilarious. A quick shout out to all the sidewalks out there. Thanks for keeping me off the streets. So anyway, as you can see, it's a pretty straightforward process of containerizing a ReactJS application, very similar to the NodeJS application Docker containerization method. A little bit of difference with the multi-step, or I guess you could say multi-build process using Docker, the Dockerfile, but you know, very similar to Node. So hopefully that was helpful, and that you learned a lot from that process of how to Dockerize or to containerize a ReactJS application using Docker. So as you can probably see from the steps that I just showed, containerizing a ReactJS application is not that, difficult. Just like a Node.js application, it's all about Dockerfile, Docker build, Docker run, and you are ready to go and deploy your application. I hope that you guys learned a lot from this video, and that you continue to just dive deeper into your containerization journey. I look forward to sharing what I'm learning along the way. So once again, thank you for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you guys in a future video. Take it easy. Hey, it's me again. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. So much more content to come. And please, as I always say, don't forget to check out the descriptions because I'm going to share some links to free, webinars and tutorials and different things that you can use to continue to learn about the different topics that you're interested in. And they're all offered by IBM for free, so please check that out. So once again, thank you for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you guys again. Take it easy.